Well, I do believe we are recording. Say hello to Skittles, everybody. So, if you remember, when I did my bike pre-ride check video, my brake lights weren't working. So when I looked to see what was causing the problem, I discovered, if you can see this clearly, zoom you in, that is a positive wire which has been cut and left soldered but left bare. So obviously the person thought this was a negative wire, so they didn't use a wiring diagram to actually check it out. So what I'm going to do now is attempt to repair this. Now the only problem is I've not got a lot of wire between there and there, so I have a choice. I can either unsolder this and see what the wires are like and see if they're okay, or it will be a case of putting a new plug on completely and putting a new plug on at this end as well. So the first thing we're going to do is, before we go any further, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification button. Thumbs up if you like the video. Leave any comments down below if you've got any questions to ask. And we are basically going to need some tools in order to do this. Now the tools we need are some spare wire just in case, some pliers like so, wire cutters because obviously we need to strip the wire, some solder. It took me ages to be able to say the word solder. These are the most important things, heat shrinks, which you will see what they do in a minute, and of course a soldering iron, and then a multimeter just in case. So the first thing we have to do, now I've had the soldering iron on it for a little while, is I'm just going to apply some heat to this to see. Yeah, look at that. So, right, so what's happened is, looking at this, we've obviously split this wire somehow, and then, rather than repairing it properly, they've just put some solder on it. So it's not actually gone all the way through. So I don't know if you can see this, so I'll take it in a bit. So you can see there, it's perfectly intact. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So I'm not quite sure what the hell the person was thinking of when they did this. So unless they actually attached another wire on there for another purpose and then took that wire off, I'm not too sure, but that looks like it's perfectly intact. Yeah, look at that. Well, it gets stranger and stranger by the minute. I was expecting to find a split wire here. Luckily that wire is actually in quite good nick. There you go, just goes to show, always take the solder bit off, because that wire's moving up and down there now. That bit of wire. There we go. come here, you. Of course. There we go. She's off. Right. So, there was absolute... I know what they've done. What they've done is they have thought that this is a negative wire. Obviously connected negative to it. It's probably earthed out or something. Or blown something. So they thought, oh, we'll know. We'll just leave it and not actually do anything about it. So that wire is perfectly intact. The only thing that's split is the actual insulation. So I am actually going to cut this wire now because of that, so I can put some insulation on, and that insulation is in the form of a heat shrink. And basically what a heat shrink does, it fits over the wires, so it basically slides over the wires here, and then you heat it up and it shrinks and actually creates an insulating layer like so. But because that wire is perfectly fine, what we're going to do now is get our pliers, come here pliers, I'm trying to do this with two hands now, and just cut, he says, hopefully. There we are. Right, what else I need to do is, actually could do with opening up the wiring harness a little bit. So I'm just going to pull this away, because what I need to do is get, you're not facing the right direction, my heatsink. So basically this slips over these wires and will shrink down, but what we need to do is we'll need to cut it, because it needs to go over this, so it'll actually have to go over this side first. So we'll go over this side first, he says, slipping it on, and then solder and then slide back. But obviously if there's not much room, I need to make some room. Might have to go and get a sharp blade in a minute if I can't get any of this off here. Another use of my wonderful multi-tool pointer. It's got a sharp bit on the end which can slice through this stuff. So all I'm doing is exposing enough of this wire so that I can slip that heat shrink back over, and if I wanted to I can get some insulating tape and stick this back down with insulating tape. I want to be careful, because what I don't want to do is split any other wires further down accidentally and cause more problems. Right, hopefully, there we go, look at that. Right, hopefully that should be enough now. So I'm hoping that will fit over here. Oh no, a little bit more. A little bit more. A bit more. There we go. Gloves have gone all funny now. Right. Is that going to go all the way on? So I want it right the way past, so that it won't start shrinking while I fix this. A bit more. There we go. And yes, I do want it quite long. There we go. We're on. And now, I'm going to trim this end. So I've just trimmed some wire off there. And then, what we're going to do is solder these two pieces together. And the way we do that is we twist. Now what you don't want to do is you don't want to solder them like that, because that won't be right. It won't work right. What you actually need to do is solder them together like so, like this. Now, the easiest way to do that is to hold them to start off with in a pair of needle nose pliers. He says, I'm trying to hold them in a pair of needle nose pliers. And also, actually, what I forgot to do was check to make sure that this heat shrink is the right one and it will go over the solder, because we don't want it too small and we don't want it too big. I'm going for a bit of a large one, give us that little bit of extra wiggle room because of where I want to put the heat shrink. I don't know if I'm mumbling, or you can hear me alright. I hope you can see this alright as well. So what I need to do is, if I get my soldering iron, you can see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some solder on the end of my soldering iron first, and I'm just going to put some solder onto this. Now in the olden days you used to have to put flux on anything that you soldered, but nowadays the flux actually comes, you won't be able to see it, but it's in the centre of this, so, and you have really steady hands as well, which I don't have today. So, right, basically I've soldered both ends, kind of tinned them together. I want to make my join there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold them together with my needle nose pliers, like so. Hopefully that should get it. So I want a straighter. There we go. I want as straight as possible join, and then hopefully I'll apply some heat, because I've already got solder on. I'll apply some heat, they should solder together, and then I'll apply some more solder in a minute. Ta-da! Look at that. So there you are, they're just slightly tacked together now. So what I'm going to do now is add some more solder. So basically, you pull your heat shrink over, and I'm going to tuck it down inside of the actual plug itself. And then what you do is you get your iron and you just basically rub it all over to shrink it down. As you see, I'm going to grab that. As you see, it shrinks. That's why it's called a heat shrink. And there we have a proper repair of a wire, and then obviously we need to check, make sure it's still working, and that we haven't done is created a dry joint. This is my first attempt at doing this whilst holding a video camera and recording. I think I've done pretty well. Not the best, I have done better. And there we have a better repair than what we had before, and it's not going to arc out like that where it's been arcing out on the frame. So there you go. I'm hoping this turns out. I really can't tell because it's so bright out here, I can't actually see the screen of the camera, so I'm not actually going to know until I actually play this back and look at it myself. So there we go. So obviously the next test is to make sure it is working. Multimeter, stick the multimeter on. There we go. Untangle the wires. connections on. So we know that's the positive. We know that's the feed through. We stick that in there and we stick that in there like so. And we have power going through. So you can see that we have power going through. So which means that once we plug it in, which I'm about to do now, and I press the brake lights, we should have brake lights. Yay, look at that, brake lights. There we go. So that's basically how to repair a wire. And what happens when you discover it's not the kind of repair or break in the first place, but there we are. That is a proper repair and covering of a wire. And then if I wanted to, in fact I might get a tag tie and just tag tie that there like so, so it's out of the way, so it doesn't get ruined again. I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. Hope this turns out all right. Don't forget, give it a thumbs up, and I will catch you again in the next episode. Cheerio.